Ladies and gentlemen, let's Red Gaming Tech on the video. We have yet more information on Batman Arkham Origins. Now, I went over the basics yesterday in previous videos, but just in case you missed it, it's going to be a prequel to, of course, Arkham City and Arkham Asylum. And it's no longer going to be headed up by Rocksteady. Instead, we're going to be looking at Warner Brothers Montreal. The good news, however, is that they do have a good creative direction, and more to the point as well, they are using the original engine, which of course Rocksteady so happily pioneered. Now, as the Origins name does kind of indicate, we will be looking at a very inexperienced Batman. This will be pretty much when he starts putting on the cowl, and we now have some further information on who the actual main antagonist is, as well as a few other details upon the game itself. So the main bad guy in this, the antagonist, would be a Black Mask, and he is the one who orchestrates a citywide manhunt for Batman against the outlaw population, in other words, of course, the Supervillains. Now, believe it or not, despite the fact that Arkham City's world was fairly large, it appears that Origins will actually be twice as big, at least in terms of the map size anyway. We're not, of course, sure about the game's length. Now, the north half of the map will be very similar to Arkham City, although there will be a few changes. There won't be the massive prison walls, and Amusement Mile will not be flooded. And there will also be some various other bits and pieces changed, such as, say, Christmas decorations will actually be hanging up. Now, if you guys remember the Batman Returns movie, it's kind of similar to that. Making a debut in the series, however, will be the south half of the map, and that will be New Gotham. And this will be the version that you will maybe more familiar with if you've been watching a lot of the Nolan movies. In other words, you'll be seeing a lot more skyscrapers, and the area will, in generally speaking, be a lot classier. Believe it or not, for the first time we're actually going to be seeing the Batwing usable. So you're actually going to be able to do fast travel. However, in some cases, you're actually going to need to remove certain hacked towers, and they will basically jam the Batwing. I'm not sure why yet, but it certainly won't be able to fly to certain regions until you've dismantled that. What about combat? Well, we know a few things. Most of the techniques that you've been familiar with from the previous games, such as being able to hang people up, batarangs, and all the other bits and pieces, will be there. However, there will be the odd new toy as well. One of them will be a remote claw, and this will allow players to shoot two targets and pull them towards one another, which could be quite useful to say the least. For example, stringing foes up, and as well as bonding them together, and maybe even making large objects crash into things, for example, thugs. An example that has been given would be that you can use a remote claw to set up certain traps. For example, dangling an explosive barrel from a perch, then pulling the guard up to it via a sonic batarang to lure them in, and then of course yanking them up. There will apparently be some detective work involved, including various side missions. Now, obviously, in previous games, side missions had quite a lot of variety. However, detective work wasn't really much of it, unless of course you were to take certain side missions, say the Deadshot ones. However, this will involve various cases, for example, watching security footage, where you'll have to check various angles and then slow down replays and so on, until you can kind of understand what the footage is actually trying to show you and decipher the clues. A little more information has been unveiled about Blackgate as well. Now, we know that this takes place after Arkham Origins, obviously before the other Arkham games, however, and it will be a 2.5D Metroid-style game. And is actually not being created by Warner Brothers, instead is actually being created by Armature Studio, and if you're unfamiliar with their work, they would be founded by several people who were behind Metroid Prime Trilogy. So overall, it's going to be a very interesting piece of work, to say the least. I'm actually really looking forward to this title. It's definitely one of my more anticipated titles for the year. I'm going to be covering this game extensively, of course, as it is prepared for release. Anyway, I think that's just about it for this particular video. Hopefully you've enjoyed it, and I will see you soon. Take care, and bye for now.